Hello, my name is Jumoke Shotonwas, and this is my husband.
And I'm Ladi Shotonwas, and we are
The Shows. We've been married for 7 years.
Good years. Wow.
7 years.
Okay, so I think the first question I have to ask is, does it feel longer or shorter?
It doesn't feel like 7 years, actually.
Shorter or?
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't feel like it's 7 years.
7 years.
No, it doesn't feel like 7 years.
It feels like it's gone very, very fast.
Yes, very
Interesting.
fast. Yeah, very
Interesting.
fast.
Okay, so let's backtrack a bit, right? This whole marriage thing. And I mean, back from how many years ago now? 7 years ago, maybe like 8, 9. Sorry, no.
No, like 2015.
So it's like 8, 9 years,
Yeah,
thereabouts,
yeah.
10, close to 10 years. And I think the main thing I want us to touch and talk about is, what really could have ensured that, we just parted ways and how we navigated all of that. I mean, right from the beginning, because I specifically told God that, look, if this is not it, just let me know, let me walk away, and how. And I think, I still think about it today like it's such a miracle. And you being AS and myself being
Yeah.
days of decision that we had to
Yeah,
make, like really make. And so let me hear your own part of the story as well, because I remember myself standing in the car park of that hospital, wondering, like my legs literally glued to the floor. I'm wondering if I had just seen what had just, the result I had just been given. So maybe I should start, right? I remember how, growing up, I had always thought that I was AA. I just never checked for any reason at all. Like, never ever checked. Mom still would tell me that, I think you're AA there. And I just, left it. It's not until I met you now. And so let me just confirm, just confirmatory test that became, almost altering for.
Yeah, a defining moment for us, actually.
And I remember just going to check, and how, we're still using BlackBerry then, and oh God, there are stories to tell. I remember going to the hospital just to do a confirmatory test, and then just seeing AS. I remember where I was right there, came out, opened it in the car park, stood right in front of the car, and I'm like, okay, there must be a mistake here. Like, this is not the information I've always known, like, all my life. So where did this come from? And I literally went back inside, went back to the, hospital reception. I said, please, can I see somebody to please not like, it felt like I didn't understand English at that point in time. Can somebody like just
maybe
explain
double or something.
HB, like just, maybe it's not what I'm thinking and all of that. And I remember calling you on my way back to the office then, and I said, this is what it is. And that radio silence, like, okay, hey! I'm like, that's it. That's the end. And then now, today, I can't remember exactly what you put on your BBC.
You keep saying that.
Yes,
I don't remember what I
because,
put. It's in your mind.
Now me be the interpreter by that time. And I looked at it, and it just looked like you were giving a goodbye speech. A coded goodbye speech. And I'm like, oh my God.
What I put.
Oh my God. So, but what changed for you?
The conversation we had now about, okay, what's your genotype? And firstborn daughter, I've always known my genotype is AS, And weirdly, I've never, even in my previous relationship, I've never had like an initial conversation with anybody with genotype. I never even knew, I don't remember even knowing any knowing any of their genotype.
I'm not sure I ever brought it up myself.
Yourself, right? So it was even weird that we started.
Because it wasn't meant to be.
But our conversation, how we started with that in the genotype conversation, and then you're like, I think I'm A, and then you went to check. I don't even remember. Did we even decide to go and check?
Well, I did.
Okay, you wanted to check.
I wanted to check. No, I think we did because, immediately I left, I called you.
No, like, why did you go to check? I think you had an office. I don't remember.
So, clearly I remember there was somebody giving a testimony in church about,
genotype changing.
And, okay, so I remember that because we're both in ushering, right? And we're sitting at the back of church, we're both ushers, and I just turned like, oh, what's a genotype? And he said, yes. And I said, in my mind, and I didn't ask him for that question. I said, you know what? Anyways, I'm AA. I got us covered. And we had not started dating then, right? No. But, just to find out. And I said, let me just go and check this thing that I've always been thinking, AA, in case anything was to happen. Okay. And then I did, and I broke the news to you. And you gave me that, quick silence that... It was silent, but I could hear 1,000 words being spoken.
Wow. So I remember I was at the office, at the time. Yeah, when you called me, right?
Because I left the office to go back to check, to take the results. And I was driving back and I called.
So, I don't remember the radio silence you're talking about.
I was on the receiving end, right? So
but what was going through my head at the time was like how I knew that this was it. Remember backtracking again, the prayer meeting we had and how So I had already known that we were supposed to be together before you knew.
That was a perfect thing for God to do because where I was going, just tell the person I don't have stress. I don't stress me with God did well.
Yeah. So when you broke the news to me, from that knowledge I had, I thought God already, said this was it, right? We're not dating or anything. You're not even asking me out, but I already knew that, this was the person. And when you now broke the news to me, I was just like, Then I remember when I got home that night, I'll never forget, babe, I will not forget. I went to my room.
You cried.
I was crying. And the scripture that came to my mind was, the blessing of the Lord maketh rich, and added no sorrows to it, right? I'm like, if God has said this thing, why is there now a seemingly sorrow, right? So I was just, so that night, I remember after work that night, I just stayed in my room, my pillow was filled, I just laid down, my pillow was filled with tears, but that night before the next morning, I felt like God just, encouraged my heart, exactly. It just, encouraged me. I just felt certain that this was God, that God was here, and then if this is it, then God had a plan for this, right? And so the next morning, I think the next morning when we were traveling.
It's amazing because whatever God did that night was really amazing, to be honest, because so I remember that night, we had dance ministration, and I was the one going to pick everyone from their office, just going to pick everybody up, dashing down to the church. And nobody had any clue what was going on in my mind because I was thinking through, is this how it all ends? But funny enough, we went back home. In fact, the boys, myself and the boys went back home. There was Gary and Suya because I remember that we stopped on the way to buy Suya, and, everybody was eating, laughing. Yeah. So, the only person I had told then, he was just looking at me from afar am I just smiling? I was telling, don't worry, everything will be fine. I was not the one encouraging and all of that. But whatever, happened that night, and I'm glad that it happened, that it wasn't, maybe me trying to convince you or you trying to convince me, because by the time I called the next morning before I went, for that trip to Ibadan for the wedding, and to be very honest, I was actually just waiting for a cold reaction or for you not to even pick at all. Just get a text that, sorry, I'm busy. I just know that. When you want to end something that's the end. I'm busy now. Can I call you later? I just know that, God, you know what? Thanks so far. I appreciate I appreciate what you have done. Right. But funny enough, reception was really good. And I wish you could see my face that day. I'm like, okay. All right, this is cool. Let's see where it goes. And we just continued nothing happened. And I remember that for the next 3 weeks, we didn't even say anything about it. And we just acted like nothing until finally we said, you know what, oh yeah, let's come and sit down and ask ourselves what we want and all of that before we then came together, had a scripture to stand on, drafted, what's it called, confessions as well that we're taking that from time to time, you know, took it, prayed together and all of that.
Yeah.
And I remember first year, nothing changed, you know, but we're on it. And I think maybe you want to talk about, you know, your parents' reaction as well, because from my end, in fact, at the point I was feeling like, why did I even tell, especially my dad? And I went to meet him that, this is what is going on.
I feel like the dads have it different.
This is what is going on. I'm AS and she's AS. My father was eating, say, so what does that mean? I say, sir, you know what I just said? Like, what does that mean? After the I just said, I should not even just, I think it was my mom that like, don't worry, if that's what people want. I said, that's good, woman of faith, let's go. But I mean, it was different on your end, and I know that you had...
I mean, I remember, so you know, I've always known that I was AS. So how my mom caught me.
It's not caught.
But one day, randomly, I went to her room, I'm like, Mommy, the majority of AS, I know mothers, you already can tell that this question, because you already knew, we all knew, you know, my genotype. And so she was like, why are you asking? Don't you know your genotype? I said, no, I wanted to just confirm. She already knew that this one, there's something somewhere. And so, you know, then some of my friends were living with us at times. So she went to, but later I heard that she went to tell one of them to say, I can tell your friend though, that, you know, she's AS and she's talking to this person that's AS as well, that I'm not there, this is blah, 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 and everything. But one thing she now said that sort of, you know, maybe helped me was that, no, she had said that, but I know her. She doesn't, when she says God has told her something, right? God has really told her. So she sort of had that, there was this, you know, dichotomy, like, okay, yes, there's something here, but I trust that when she says God has said something, then maybe there's something there. You know, but when I told my dad about my dad heard, you know, I was like, okay, I've heard you. He was telling me all the stories. People he knew that had this and all the problems that came with it, and it wasn't like the only thing that you can do, go and check, there's a solution, come and tell me. So even me, so now with all the faith I had and all the assurance God has given me, I now went to be checking for solution,
Google
problem, you know, and all that. And I mean, after that, I just, you know, took it away, and then both of us just agreed and said, okay, it's what we wanted. I remember we now started, you know, hearing other stories of people.
Yeah, I think that's one beautiful thing I think God helped
us with, yeah.
Because it just felt like at that time, like online, even people that were in church then that we didn't even know their stories, all of a sudden we just started hearing. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And I felt like God was using that to encourage us along the way, because I mean, that was like almost 2 years after. It was exactly like 2 years after we found out that, you know, eventually the miracle came. I'm like,
yeah.
And I think, I mean, we had done introduction
before it changed, yes.
That was a bold move.
Yeah, we were willing to actually, and another miracle again, just backtracking before, was even our parents' hearts. How, they just accepted and felt like,
aligned.
Yes. You know.
Praying them, putting them in prayer, like, God, if this is your will, align their heart.
Yeah, the heart of, remember we used to go that with the heart of kings in your hand, so that it was the waters. Yeah.
But it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, just thinking about it again, about the fact that we had done introduction, you know, and that final, and we're going ahead. You know, and then I literally remember where I was when he made that call. Like, I was on my way back from work. I was on Osborne Road. I just passed that Osborne for sure, and I just saw your call. Because I already knew you were going to do the test. I saw it. My mind flashed, my heart flashed, like, could this be it?
Boom, 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 boom.
Could this be it? And I picked up the call and said, babe, hey! I didn't even wait. Like, maybe I just heard your voice. I knew that. Otipari, miracle to Shele. And it was, I mean, it was beautiful from then. I mean, I remember we shared that, I think it was that same night we shared that testimony.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And I mean, here we are, 7 years later.
Yeah.
7 years
7 years
later.
later. And I think that it has sort of even helped our foundation, like
yes.
sort of has even helped us, you know, weather the different storms that have, you know, happened in the 7 years. So how was the first year for you?
First year. So I think the first answer I will give is it's not like what we heard getting into marriage, like, first year people will have this. I think I literally came out of first year and like, I look back and like, okay, everything everyone has been saying about, okay, it's tough, this one, people will fight.
Yeah.
I mean, we had different personalities here, but I don't think it wasn't like what we had, definitely. Of course, it was a time of learning, a whole lot of learning.
New discoveries. Should we talk about it?
God. Oh, God. Saying different things. I'm like, God, you created this one as well. You have human beings.
I was
like
shocked.
that.
I know, I was shocked. When I saw, I'm like, I felt like, is that okay?
No. But I think it was a good time of discovery, learning to learn about each other, because I mean we have different personalities, right? Apart from the funny things in between, maybe how one person is sleeping.
How you sleep? Just mention.
No, it's not. Because over time, babe, like, marriage is a revelation. It started with me, but as
you
time
progressed.
went,
No, I think mine is a bit.
No. God has children. God created people.
Oh my God.
God created people. No. So it's not just me.
Okay, I agree.
You know, 7 years of revelation.
Accept it.
But I think it was good.
Yeah.
It was good time of discovery, learn about each other, learn to understand each other. Of course, there were times when I'm thinking like, okay, how does somebody think like this? Like, who thinks like this? Like, isn't it, you know? I mean, we had those, but I'm not sure. Not like we didn't have issues or, you know, challenges in the first year. But I think overall, the first year was
still lovey-dovey.
Yeah, I think it was still the
just cool, chilled.
Yeah,
you're not really saying things
until you enter gear 2 like this.
Yeah,
you know.
Actually.
Traveling on the only road I can remember now is that Ibadan to Ife road. You know, when you come from,
oh my God.
You know, coming from Lagos to Ibadan.
It was like a cruise. Yeah. The bumps,
I am wondering,
potholes.
can a road be like this?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, first day generally was good. It was good. I think that's the same year we didn't spend up to a year in that house. That house was one of the revelations of this marriage that we had to sail through.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm glad that we left here. We left there quickly. I'd heard things about houses where you stay, you know, and things that happen. This one was like first-hand experience of how some people can actually be.
Yeah, and how life is spiritual.
Actually. I think that was what I took from that house. No. And sometimes, you know, I feel like we're starting to preach. And how sometimes God's way of rescue is exit, not to stay there and, you know, be declaring and be contesting, but just leave. That, the environment is very key. I think that's one thing I learned from the first year. So,
yeah, I mean, first year was really cool and chilled. I remember after our honeymoon, I had a job that I went.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yes. Like I think it was 4 days after, so that I had that job. I wasn't home for like
that time I was
a week.
I still have that video. On my
I have some like really cool
videos.
memories. My first time. I remember when I came home that day, you know, you not see me for like a week. How you did video, I was still doing. Remember that content we did one video when we were on the bed also. Welcome to our.
I still have.
Yeah.
I still have them.
Yeah, first year was pretty chill. I remember after our first year, I did a post on Instagram where I said that, you know, there was a meet that first year and everything, and then someone reached out to me in my DM and said that don't say such online, no, that will cover your marriage. Don't let evil eyes come and, and I'm like, there's so much bad PR about marriage in the first place. If I have it differently, if I feel like
should be able to talk about
exactly, I should be able to share it to sort of, debunk some of these myths out there, right? And I was like, my marriage is covered with the blood of Jesus. God is here in the beginning, right? A threefold cord is not easily broken, and things like that. So I felt like, okay, well, I mean, first year was really good for us, for me, and then year 2, second year marriage, childbirth. And then I think it was now
after the second, like after 2 years.
After 2 years, you're right. Then COVID.
Well, let's talk about challenges as we navigated that year 2 as we entered year 2 and started to move. Of course, first thing was our personalities were completely opposites.
One thing, let me even go back a bit. I remember our first year, I still feel like I was changing. So
I remember you saying that every time, like I am changing. Yeah. Where are you here before? You change each other.
I feel like you are more like you're the calm, cool-headed one. Me, I'm more like feisty, and so I remember that in the first year, I started noticing that I was calmer. I was not as I remember like something was wrong with me. I was telling you like, babe, I feel like I'm changing. I remember I called somebody then, like one of our mentors, and I was like, I feel like there's something happening to me. Like, I didn't. So for me, the feeling wasn't. I didn't like it. I felt like this is not who I am. Why am I, being too calm and all of that? And I remember you said something when I told you, and that thing stuck, with me. When you said, when I told you, like, babe, I think I'm changing. I feel like I'm not. And you're like, is it a bad thing? When you said that thing, I had to rethink it. Like, okay, is it really a bad thing, right? That's why we are supposed to be together, where we rub off on each other, and then my blind spots, you can rub off on me in that regard, and then your own blind spot I can. So when you said that thing, like, is it a bad thing? I sort of like had to rethink it. I'm like, okay, maybe not, and all of that. And I remember one other thing that we had to even go through in our first year. Well, for me, was all those things about my money is my money, your money is our money. I remember then I sort of was struggling a bit, like. Really know, because again from all the things you've heard and everything, like should he know all the money I have? Should I keep it somewhere? I remember it was in our first year that God had to even help me, renew my mind about it, because then I felt like what I've heard, don't let a man know all the money you have. I remember it was even still the same mentor I spoke to about it. Those two things. I remember I called her about, say I feel like I'm changing. I feel like then this money thing. Should he know? All the money I have, should I not tell him everything? And then she now sort of spoke to me about being naked and unashamed. And I mean, you're married now, that's what the Bible says. You should be bare before each other, talk about everything, you don't need to hide anything from anybody, So I feel like the first year was more, again, learning and debunking some myths, some popular opinions that we've heard, and just doing life, the way, God will have us do it. And just seeing things differently and just aligning. That was like the first year. Then the second year of, personality clashes. Like, why would somebody just be so calm and too taking their time? Like, why do you have to take your time on things? I remember then you used to say things like, babe, you just need to understand us. You just understand.
I use that word. But because I literally felt like we needed to understand ourselves. We're coming from different backgrounds, number one. I remember you came out from a large family, like nuclear extended. I came out from everybody to themselves. Father, mother, like my own lifestyle was we don't need to check up on ourselves, but every time we do, as long as you're fine, but it was a bit different, even coming to the larger, and then your own family. Different things. I loved my space, all of those things. No. I remember that, I always tell you that if anybody's coming to the house, because I didn't just like people bumping into, why are you?
Oh my God, it was such a learning
And sometimes you would forget, I'm like, how can, in my mind I'm thinking, how can you forget that a whole human being is coming to the house And, you know, that kind of just maybe changes my mood in the house.
Yeah.
And I have to walk through that and just, you know. And funny enough, thinking about it now, I think I've left an allowance in my, even though of course it's much better. Of course, we talk about if anybody's coming. Maybe a few times, maybe, babe, I forgot to. I don't even think about it any longer, because somewhere along the line as well, I just opened that allowance in my heart that, you know what, I mean, things are much more, you know, fluent, we understand better and all of that. So, but I mean, that personality difference, I think, was a very big, I almost say culture shock, but like marriage shock. Right? For both of us, because like you said, you are the outgoing person, and it also flowed into communication, right? I have something to say about that finance part, but we'll get there. And it flowed into communication, right? You know, you mentioned COVID now, how, because I was more into myself, like I loved my space. And COVID was the icebreaker. And I think about it today, and I'm grateful to God for that year, because I think it was what that COVID period, God used it to help me. Because I didn't know how to, I didn't realize that I didn't know how to have you in my space continually. Because, I mean, prior to that time, it was very calculated. I'll go to work very early in the morning, leave home like 5:30, come back around 7, 8, depending on how Lagos traffic treats me. I can come back like 10 o'clock, 9, I eat.
You can do your thing,
wake up the next morning. So the schedule was very, you know, calculated. And then comes COVID-19. And for the very first time, I felt like life was leaving me.
And I think that was when I sort of even noticed, really, like, it was very glaring to me, right? Because I remember then, I started feeling like, is there a problem? When, for example, maybe you're in the sitting room, then I'm in the room, and then when I come to the sitting room,
somehow just
I just see that you have left to the room. When I go to the room, I see you have left to the sitting room. I'm like, so at first it wasn't, you know, glaring again, because, like you said, because of how your schedule was, and I mean, I'm the entrepreneur working from home. It wasn't really a thing. It wasn't obvious.
It wasn't obvious.
It wasn't obvious. Even though I knew that you were more into yourself. When I want to gist, you're always like, babe, there's a time. You be like, babe, there's a time to bring up.
But you say if you like gist.
Yeah, you need to. Why are we together if you don't gist?
Like, person just come back from work like this.
Yes, you need to listen to all my
phrase. Babe, this life. Once I hear babe, this life, I know what's coming next. Like, something like that.
Well, like gist with
this, you know? Life. Once I hear this life,
but that's the whole essence of marriage.
Yeah, I mean, it was just me, you know, being me
at the time.
That time. And COVID taught me a big lesson. And like I said, sometimes I realized that it wasn't even like calculated. I would just, like, I didn't just want to, like, I just want to be, I would find myself, you know, maybe go into one of the rooms. If the 2 rooms are occupied and somebody's in the house, I just find my way into one of the rooms. And when I realized that this was a problem, I had to then speak to, you know, a mentor then. And I called and I said, sir, I think there's a problem, because I'm waking up every day, I'm seeing you. Throughout it, like nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. There is no, you know, going out for how many months, locked. And it felt, honestly, it felt very strange. I didn't know that it was a problem until it was glaring to me, and I had to call, like, and he laughed. I remember he didn't make it look like I was out of place, like, like, okay, like, Lado Bobo, he calls me Lado, that he understands that, you know, he gets what I'm saying. It's part of that. I just have to consciously, you know, start to come out of that. That I'm not going to be the first person that will be in such a situation. I'm like, okay, I'm not that weird after all, because I started to feel weird. Like, why would I? Like, I didn't know how to, but I'm grateful for it, because coming out of COVID, I was now longing for that. For being in your space, and I felt more comfortable in your space. I was looking forward to it, and I mean, even I think about it now, where, you know, I don't have to go into the office. I just go in maybe like once or twice every week, and all of that. Just having you around you know, it's much more enjoyable for me. I came out of that experience wanting to be in your space from literally wanting to always be on my own.
Yeah.
So that period just taught me how to, you know, and I think it also helped communication because, of course, from not saying so many things, because then in my head I used to calculate like in my head everything was compartmentalized, right? Okay, this can be said, this doesn't have to, like, I used to filter things a lot. Boy, you always wanted to hear.
Yeah, and I was like, well, like, just talk. Like, why are you just always quiet? Like, you need to talk to your wife.
Like, because
because what?
Not everything, like.
No, I'm not saying everything needs to be said, but
you always felt like, you know, everything, like, say everything. I'm like, who says everything?
No,
like,
I don't also say everything to you.
Yeah.
But it feels like that because at the time, right, you know, there's this thing about deficits when you're pouring into something or pouring into somebody, right? So if you don't pour as much as you're meant to pour, it feels like there is not, like there is a deficit. There's a void, exactly. So even if you're pouring, but what you're pouring is not enough, right? So that's how I felt at the time. Like you're not, you need to like to talk, like carry me.
Sometimes I would say stuff and you'd be like, is that all?
Exactly.
Are there other things people say after this? I was always worried, like, is that all? Like, I would just think, like, is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, but I think over time, the intentionality, because I had to learn how to communicate to you, right? And I'm still learning up until now, right? How to communicate, how you receive information, how you want to be communicated with, right? And that was like a 2-year course, you know, that I had to learn. If I was in university, I don't know what my grade would be, but I had to really, really learn that art because, again, I know the backgrounds because, again, you growing up in a place where everybody together, nobody really sends you because my family, but I was left to handle most decisions myself, make decisions myself. So, and I think another part was having to make decisions for the family. And then you'd be like, but you didn't tell me. I'm like, but that's what I'm saying now. No, you should have carried me along. Like when you were thinking, I'm like, we don't need all of that process. But I had to learn that because mine was just to make the decision and like, oh, this is. And I
remember when I was telling you that, babe, you still act single. Do you remember?
Now we used to enter. I should think of that. What does it mean? What does she mean that I still act single? But I mean, after a while, I think we had that intentional. I mean, to give you your credit, to be honest, like I think you're welcome. I think you intentionally, like, even though it was like a process. Like it was, you know, it was a tough one.
Tough one
on my
and we're still even going through it, right? But I feel like you intentionally like worked on it, you know, to get better, to ensure that I was happy. You know, like, okay, what is this, you know, woman is saying? I need to actually pay attention to
say some of the things I did then. Like, there's certain times I can be in the office and I'm thinking, maybe I'm thinking about something and I'm scrutinizing, like, so which of the information must she know?
Serious?
I'm serious. So, like, it was then very intentional. Like, and sometimes I'll just pick up my phone to call and say, babe, this one. I didn't know how to. And maybe, of course, again, because of the way I was, even work, I left work as work. I didn't really bring work home. I didn't like to talk about work, but
babe.
Babe,
you didn't bring work home.
And I didn't really bring work home.
Remember,
Which
then,
one?
that when you come back home, I used to be so pissed.
Oh, no. So when I meant, like bringing the work,
yes, on your laptop. I'm like, are you not close for the day?
Yeah. That was the life of a consultant, then just on and on and on and on. So what I mean by I didn't bring work home, like conversations things that about work, maybe on to one very crucial one that I was pretty mad that, you know, you had to help me to look at my, you know, that my blatant letter I was about to send. I said, babe, remove this one. But I didn't really talk about work, but maybe about this person or something happened. Me, as I've left that work, I've left. Apart from the work I have to do, I don't really, you know. But you, on the other hand, babes, come and say what happened today. I'm like, hey, kilo to shele. Like every day new drama. Like, sometimes in my mind, like, when I know they finish drama for this on our office, but it was your own way of bonding, talking, which I had to learn over time. And sometimes now I find myself talking that, babe, that can you imagine? I'm like,
Yeah.
So if we talk like this, but I think it's, it's really helped us to understand each other well, because like you said, if not, that void would just be there, and it's important to just always feel it, not just not even just talking, but yes, random things and also quality things, which I know is one of the things that
I remember the
I love
quality conversations.
I say, God, I don't enter one chance. So, which one's quality conversation? First, you are not talking. Number two, quality conversation. What is? Oh, yeah, come and define quality conversations.
Over time as well, I had to now sort of learn about you, because I sort of felt like it was always what I wanted. Like, oh, this is what I wanted, this is, So I had to now over time learn about your personality. Like, okay, do some research, some reading up. Like, okay.
Sorry, I gave you work.
You did give me work, babe. You gave me work. All right. Like, okay, like what gets you, and also, like you said, it was a turn on your flesh. It wasn't a turn on my flesh, because there's a way I wanted it to be. But that's not how it would have worked for you. So I had to also learn how not to be too all about what I wanted. And the restraint was a lot. Like, I had to, give you your space. I had to, let you be sometimes. I had to understand that, okay, I'm probably not in the mood, or, even though at some point I felt like, okay, I had to now start, the way you calculate, I started calculating, okay, is it the right time to talk about this, when should I say this? I have to now start observing your mood, your body language, to know when to like say things, and just be more sensitive.
And to be honest, to be fair, like when I started to notice that you were a bit more careful, I then had to start to rethink as well, because I felt like I might also be taking that stuff to the extreme, because I always felt like, yes, there is I remember one of the things I used to say was, it's not just what you say, but how you say it, right? And so I had to start, while that is true, I had to start thinking like, okay, am I pushing this thing too far, right? If you now have to start being over-calculative, okay, is this the right time? I feel like, okay, that's like too much, okay, and so, I mean, for a start, I had to, when I hear, babe, this life, I'll sit up, it's coming again. And sometimes, say, and I'll give like, oh, wow. And sometimes you catch me and say, babe, are you just saying wow? Because I was just trying to, acclimatize, like, okay, laddie, you have to get into this and just, put yourself in a place where you don't always have to, oh, maybe your mood. No, just be open, listen. And I think it helped, because over time, I can just hear anything at any time and, be very receptive. And I say, oh, babe, this one, that one. I'm like, and I had to learn as well. So I had to start asking people and finding out, how do you respond to,
Oh, really? You did that?
Like, how do you respond to talk that you don't even want to hear in the first place? Like, how? How do you, and somebody gave me very good wisdom. I said, you just be throwing questions back. I said, very good. So you ask me questions and you keep saying, I said, so what the person do? But, I mean, for the beginning phase, it wasn't like I was all into the conversation, but I'll just look for, after you have said everything, I'll just look for one thing. I said, but, and then I'll throw the question, then you talk again. Before you finish, I'll now be looking for where to latch on another question. But it helped. And I think even that has helped me. Oh, yes, that has helped me over time.
Oh, my God.
Because, oh, no, that's phrase, this life. No. The only time I heard it was growing up. This life is beautiful. But you showed me that there's more to that. There's more to that phrase than that. But, yeah, it did help. So, I mean, I had to start adjusting so that it's not I don't overly, start saying, oh, there's a time. And I didn't like, because I started to notice myself and, hey, at the end of the day, because I always knew that you wanted to be able to talk anytime without any restraint, be able to say certain things without any restraint, and say, guy, you have to start adjusting, this thing is work, but hey, it's for the betterment of the marriage. And I think communication was a really, really big deal for us.
Yeah. And actually, we've actually really improved, babe. Yeah.
Really, really. Because I know you're also spilled into finances. We didn't used to talk.
Yeah.
We got into, I don't know how we did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it took about 2 or 3 years before we finally...
3 years. Well, the third year, yes.
Because, I remember that coming into the marriage, there was no money. It's not like, first I wasn't earning...
That I didn't even know.
I didn't know that. Because,
when I found out.
I also had this, because every time I wanted to do something, I would start going to pull out that money from that treasury, from the vault. I didn't know that one day this vault will reach bottom. And we didn't talk about it because I'll just, because that money I saved it, entering into my hand. I think when matter don't reach matter, we just started, and when you found out how much was coming from 9 to 5,
I was,
even me, I felt like, why I go there?
I was really amazed.
And it's amazing because not even just because most people would never have thought at that point in time, but I think when you found out, it's like reality set in for both of us, and okay, this is what is coming in from here. This is what is coming in. Let us match our expectations together, because of course you had expectations, and sometimes when those expectations were not met, you'd be wondering but money they come in. But I think it was a good thing.
Actually,
and I remember there were things that we had to do in the house. Then you were wondering that, but me, I don't calculate everything. So if you use this money for this, but I think eventually it was good that we then spoke. And I think one of the good things that happened for us then was when we sat down to talk about finances, was that we started to see things started to improve. It was easier to believe God for certain things. It was easier for us things to multiply. But prior to that, it was
every man to his own.
You bring in, not really.
Putting together. I remember. it was a thought. I remember I spoke to somebody about it, and I said that we started doing our finances together, right? Because prior to that, we had never even we never dug that joint account, that kind of thing, right? So we didn't really, but until we now, we still don't even have a joint account, but we do our money finances together. I remember when I spoke to somebody about us down, doing our finances together, what is coming in here together and doing everything together. And the person made a statement, I never forget, she said, just give it a couple of time, you see how things will improve, right? Because that's togetherness, for us, for every couple, every marriage is really important, right? It's like that all-around body, spirit, soul, oneness, right? And when we finally got it, it felt like, we are getting something. And I realized that from then on, things just, improved for us. Financially, we just both knew. I remember we would just sit down and say,
there were more openings, really,
exactly. We say that, how much do you want to this thing? You say, okay, believe God for this. You can't believe God for this amount. You can't believe. And the money will come in, right, and all of that. So I think,
and that's really important, because that oneness is not just being in the same house. You can be in the same house. You can be sleeping on the same bed. And there's no oneness at all.
Your heart, not one.
But that's really, 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 really cool. Really critical. So I think another crucial, time for us was, childbirth and, this whole parenting season. I think the first thing I even want to say about that is how well, intimacy, communication, and togetherness is very key. Just looking at that story for us, the whole childbirth, having to wait in the hospital for an extra 10 days because of, issues that happened. And then
even the choice of hospital.
Actually.
No, we're going to change.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things I'm grateful to God for. I know that we had gone to this first hospital, and I think really it was because I can't remember.
Felt like there's some inconsistencies.
And let's just find out from another place, and then I went to the other hospital, got the quotes. But something just didn't feel
it didn't
right.
gel.
It didn't sit right. And even though it was cheaper in a sense, but I mean, and we just both agreed that let's stay here. And I'm grateful because, I mean, every time I think what if it was somewhere else and they didn't notice that at the time that they noticed what happened. With the young man that is disturbing the entire house, right now. I mean, having to stay, that strength, and then really. The strength to, I think the bed experience in itself is something else. I know you remember, you always say that you felt like in the labor room, that you felt like I was against you in the labor room. And in my mind I was like...
No, but I mean, I understand because you had mentioned why you did what you did in terms of like, I mean, even backtrack a bit, like during the whole pregnancy period for us, how you were like really present and helpful. I remember one statement you made that sort of, when you said, I mean, you've never been pregnant before, you haven't been a dad before, I haven't been a mom before. And I remember you said that you wished people actually also, reach out to the dad at the men as well during that phase.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot. I mean, going all through the whole, first trimester sickness and everything. You were also juggling work, me and all that. Yeah. So then you felt like, like you needed someone, you wished someone actually really just reached out to say, like, how are you doing? Like, and all of that.
And I remember saying that period, I didn't know how I even felt in myself because in my mind, I was just consumed with making sure that you were fine. But I didn't even know that I myself needed some, attention. And I remember saying that, this is something I think that, should happen for guys a lot more, because sometimes you could even lose yourself in the midst of trying to be available. And like, I literally wasn't tending to myself at all. I literally wasn't tending to myself. But, somehow, thank God we, saw that process through. And after a while, I mean, towards the bed period as well. I remember the night going to the hospital and all of the drama that happened, getting into the, labor room. I always knew that I was going to be there. Nothing would stop me. And I needed I always think, I mean, I always thought that I had a, very strong heart. I've heard about men that would faint. I'm like, God. Yeah. Well, I mean...
I remember when we were going to the hospital, when you said you wanted to go and wear your wristwatch.
Was it my wristwatch or shirt or something?
No, wristwatch. No, babe, it was wristwatch.
Yeah, because I need to keep the time. I need to check the time as we're going.
I was like, babe, I think you had gone to put the hospital bag, the bag the bag.
Yeah, I'd done all
and you had put everything. And like, let's just go. And then you said,
I needed to change my...
I remember then I was like, wristwatch. Like, at what time of the morning do you want to go and get your wristwatch?
That was very early, right?
Like, it was like 4 a.m. Yeah, I was like, like, it needs to be a priority straight, right? And, the hospital and the birth process.
Had to hold your hand
then how
down.
I mean, the birth process was even quite seamless. It was the other one when I had to hold my hand. And then I felt like, it's like you were, I felt like, this thing is painful. You're not even like you're just holding me. You're like, no.
That one had to be done.
It was, to be honest, at the time I felt like this guy has betrayed me. Like he has. But it was, of course, I mean, knowing the consequences that may have happened if they didn't do what they had to do, and if you didn't let them do it, it would have been worse and all of that. So I mean, I was really thankful. Thankful for that strength.
Extra 10 days. I mean, lots of emotions, and I really want to commend you because I know it wasn't easy during that period, and having to do the naming in the hospital. I remember you saying, no, I'm like, this is what it is right now. Like, and having to come to a place of agreement, you know, of course, having a very, just having key family members around. I remember them bringing him, like, he would just be here for the naming. Once you have named the child, they're taking him back, and like, I could see your face like, oh my God, why is my own story like this? But looking back, grateful to God that, you know, all of that, you know, happened seamlessly, and, you know, it came out of, you know, whatever issues that were happening then. And I mean, healthy young man, bouncing, you know, shouting, tearing things down in the house. And I think that just kind of ushered us into a, you know, I remember you know, oh no. Sometimes I had to sleep in the car, sometimes come to sleep on the bed, sometimes sleep on the floor. I think I brought a mattress from the house, or they gave us one there. And, you know, I just know that those 10 days I didn't even attend to work during that period as well, because I didn't even. Anyway, let's not talk about paternity, because I think that men should be given like at least a month. Is it too much?
I don't think it's too much.
It's not too much.
We are working
and I think
together.
It's just maybe the values this side of the country,
Yeah.
well, part of the world. Right, because I think that being present, both father and mother for the child, and especially, you know, there's that notion of, oh, the woman is the one who gave birth, and so she's the one, you know, thinking
should sort of cater to
and expecting that maybe other family members. Yes, I mean, you have help from family and all of that, but I remember that period, like I just blanked out. I think they actually gave me maybe 5 days, or was it 3 days then? So it's not me and you people. I know that I spent that, you know, I think I stayed off for like 3 weeks or so and all that, but it was good because we were able to be there for each other. I was able to be there for
I think that was the only lesson from that hospital period.
And it felt like that period helped us to also bond.
Yes.
You know, to the extent that we're serving people food in the hospital. We had so much food around.
That we're giving, actually.
But it helped us to really, really bond in that period, you know, and of course start to talk about or start to look forward to, you know, the first 3 months when your mom was around and all of that, and having to raise this young man. So, but that's really where I'm going to, where I want to ask you, that has parenting been for you, looking at this past 4 years?
4 years,
of
actually.
parenting.
Parenting, I think, I mean, if I backtrack to when, you know, we had our baby, you know, I had the community that's of moms, of first-time moms, or even moms in general. So getting into that was not so bad for me, because I had a community of moms and women I could always ask questions. I remember then, you know, when I started the community, and then we used to pray together with the moms, and we were all around the same season. You know, everyone was pregnant, everyone had their baby, you know, none of that. So we had, you know, like, just there's something about doing life with people who are also in the same season as you. So we sort of found succor and just help and, you know, strength, you know, amongst ourselves. So it wasn't so bad for me because I already had this community. So if any problem, anything, we always, you know, ask questions. And we used to pray together as well a lot then.
Bond season.
Yes, bond season mamas, right? So, so I think that first few months, you know, wasn't really, you know, so tedious for me as it went in terms of that. But in terms of like that waking up, sleeping, changing, breastfeeding, it was a whole roller coaster on its own. But I think for me, unlike some people, you know, I mean, at least just my own experience, I didn't really have like issues with like lactation, you know, and things like that. So it was just a learning process for me. I was open to learning. I remember I always watch videos, ask questions in the group. We always shared, you know, resources. So for me personally, it was more, you know, it was more of a learning curve, you know. Of course, it didn't come without its own stress, you know, its own, you know, weariness and tiredness. I remember it was when Nathan was going to be 6 months, and I started in 9 to 5.
Yeah, and that was
a whole different conversation. Like, it was
and having all the roller coaster we had with nannies and all of that. And I mean, I didn't even come from a background where I had nannies or anything. You were the one, so it got tiring at some point because I had to. One thing will surely happen, like one thing, well, I think we have gone through several processes in that.
Yeah, having to just garner strength from within, talking to ourselves, you just being present. Because one thing, like, you were really present and sort of helped, that process, that period for us, like, we do things together.
I want to ask a question. Something I just remembered out of the blues, actually. And I know we talked about it many times, and I'm saying this because I know it will also help, somebody, right? And that's because it's sort of like a sensitive issue, especially when a woman gives birth, and in fact, before birth, body begins to change, and sometimes you're wondering, whether I still, and I'm like, hey, don't worry, this body is exactly what I want. Don't even think about it. And I want to really ask you how that helped you in that period, because I know some people also struggle with that because maybe they've gained weight now because of childbirth, and probably maybe the husband doesn't even see them the same way as well. And how, I know I tried as much as possible to always affirm, and over and over again, because first, and to be very honest, first was because I didn't really see, should I say, I first even liked the way you were first, because we're coming from a like we used to say when we were growing up, from like a tiny figure one, right? And then it started to, I'm like, like this is it. So first I liked it, to be very honest. So all the things you were saying, this is it. Don't worry yourself. Let's just build this home together. But I won't really ask, because some people are usually not comfortable in their skin at that point in time after birth, right? But how was it for you? How was your own experience? From me, maybe you can score me now, give me a pass mark or not. Yeah.
Again, like you said, I was a size 6, and then I was a size 12. And that was like, yeah, that was worlds apart. Like I've never seen myself like that in my whole life, right? It's like I was changing, my body was changing. It's not me, I was just like, I remember then I'll be complaining, like, babe, see my babe, and you're just like, babe, no, it's okay, I like it, it's fine, And to be honest, it really, like, did help. It did help me in terms of, like, just reassuring me that, baby, you're okay, like, you're fine, like, there's nothing wrong with you. Thank you. I felt like, again, it's a new thing for me. I never experienced it, and I was like, what's going on? I remember my tummy, when I said I had this stretch mark. I remember that stretch mark one. Oh my god. That I was like, I was so pissed. I think it was 8 months. I was like, babe, I never wanted this. And you're like, babe, it's okay, nothing to go. Like, we didn't go. And they just like kept reaffirming me, right? Like, babe, you're okay. I like you the way you are. I like your body. And you always say that, like, babe, I like your body. I like your body. I like your body. And it just really did help me. Like, okay, he's okay with it, And of course, obviously, after that, I just also was comfortable. I mean, it's my new body anyways. I'd rather just, enjoy it, right? So yeah, I think a lot of women actually do struggle, but having a partner, having a husband that can actually just reaffirm you, just, and I mean, I feel like men out there should also know this. I think I've even heard stories of, maybe some women feeling like their husband will say things like, you're now fat, you're now this, you're just lazy, you're just, a lot of things, a lot of emotions are actually going on, in a woman's, body at the time. Yeah, so having that, exactly. So having that person, that is your person, that can just say that, see, don't worry. Like, because again, we are both in this. I didn't even make myself like that. It was 2 of us, first of all, that got me here, right? And then, but you then just, let me know that, babe, I like you like this, like you're good, everything is perfect, everything is fine. You didn't make me feel like something was wrong with me. You didn't make me feel like, and I think it really did help me. It did help me in embracing, like, this is my new body, this is me, and just live with it. And I think that was, really, really, really great. Yeah.
So I think a good way to end, just to talk about parenting journey. And I think maybe what is really, just thinking about it, one of the statements I've heard you say over time, and I really, really, truly want to even give kudos to, maybe people who raise women who, single mothers or single fathers as well, who have to raise kids alone. And I know that one of the things they've said over and over again is that you wonder how they do it, because, you look at a child's life, he needs both sides. He surely needs both sides of the, of the staff and the rod, both sides. And looking back, I just remember setting milestones, in Nathan's life as well. It's funny that there's some things, and funny enough, getting married, you always thought that I would be the chilled one.
Yeah, I will be the.
And in fact, everybody said it, and I remember I just said, okay. And maybe because growing up as well, there's a way I dealt with my my cousins and my little ones then that I used to handle. So I knew that I wasn't going to. I already knew I wasn't going to be like that, because I was not. Yes, I was cool, I was chilled, I was reserved, and all of that.
But I think it's because I think there's a thing with boy child and dad fathers. That's what I think.
Well, could be, but let's see. Don't
never say never.
Yeah, because I think for me, and like you said, right, you need both ends. You need the father and you need the mother, because I think the way God has created it is that there imputes, there's a supply that the father brings, there's a supply that the mother gives as well, and you can't take that away. And when it's just one person doing that, it's tougher.
It's a
and
lot.
Sometimes certain things might be missing. I remember as little as when we decided to give him what's it called?
His milk.
Formula. The young man was getting too used to breast milk, and he didn't want to leave. And I'm like, hello, like, where do you think you are? And I remember he kept rejecting
the bottle,
rejecting it, I said. And he wasn't just rejecting, like he would cry like, and I was unsure. I was monitoring him like, okay, continue. And I remember that day I just took it and I left it in the, I said, you're going to say, I think he saw my face. Really look. Trying to take it in, and that was like a turning point. And from then it just aligned as well. And several things along the way as well. When it comes to discipline, having to enforce certain things. And because the kids nowadays, they're very smart.
Yeah, and
very.
Like you said, the importance of the two people. I know people have like circumstances make people but I just feel like, and like you said, I always just wonder, how do people do it? Like I said, when I started 9 to 5, that was when I started feeling like, because I remember then I would wake up at 5 a.m. babe.
Have to do his meals.
Babe, I will not leave the house until like maybe 9, and I'm up. I'll make his 3 meals for crutch before I get him ready, then get myself ready. I remember then when I started going to the office. When I get to the office, I'm just so tired. I'm like, and I was just like, it is. I remember then when I get to the office, I will cry first. I'll just put my head on the table. I'm like, God, what kind of life is this? I was like, and then I was like, how do I remember I did a post again. I remember to single mothers, because I felt like my heart really goes out to single mothers, because I don't know how you do it alone. I don't know. There's a different level of strength that you will need to have. And then you're having your own strength and your husband and the man's strength together in one. That's a whole lot on one person, right? And so it's really, really important that there's that balance between the mother and the father, or the man and the woman for a child. It's really, really important. And I think I've seen how it has also even helped Nathan as well. Even backtrack to even the hospital, the 10 days at the hospital. I remember when, like you said, when I was in the initial phase again, just new mom, I felt like, why is this happening? I think the second day or so, I was still in my emotions, and how I just had to wake up like, like you can't. You have to get into like war mode, serious, business. You can't. I mean, a mother, you can't just let things just, be right. And that's like the other parts, because you were, like you said, you were going through a whole lot, trying to ensure that I was okay, But I had to just wake up, like, this is serious. This is wartime. Like you can't just be there. You have to sit up and take charge over this situation, right? So like that's balance, like the two people coming together, bringing their own supply, with Nathan. Even though at some point, I don't even remember one day I called you and I said, babe, remember what Ephesians 6 says that, fathers don't provoke your child. Do you remember? and I felt like, and to be honest, I felt like it was a light bulb moment for me. Because then I was a bit concerned. I felt like you were being too hard. Right? I felt like we were being too hard, and I was like, and I also didn't want, again, children, like they're very smart. They will know like mom is the one that is very, so they'll be running to. And one thing that I think we had also said it's, how we wanted to raise our children is to be, one voice, yes, to have one voice, to be on the same front, so that they don't feel like mommy is this, if mommy says this, daddy will say this, mommy, and none of that. So we sort of had that, agreement. I remember, I felt like, this guy's been too hard on this boy, and it used to break my heart when I see how you were so. I was like small now, like. And I remember I was coming back from the office. I was driving. I don't remember, and that came to my head, and I felt it was a light bulb moment, right? When and now, I think I told you, I'm like, babe. There's the reason why the Bible said, fathers, don't provoke. It was not to the mothers, right? Because I felt like there's a thin line where discipline and just outright, you're just too stern, or just, you're not sensitive to the emotions of the child. You're just, and I told you, I was like, babe, I think you need to. And I think even though I felt like you don't answer me, but but I think I sort of now, at some point saw like some changes,
I had to think now, hey, you cannot be like, say, But I mean, I think I thought about it as well, and I had to be, I didn't, of course, take my hand off, totally, but I had to. Yeah. So I think what it made me do was to be a bit more sensitive, right? Because I also didn't want, because, sometimes in raising a child, you might get used to how you were raised and try to apply the same thing,
yes,
and not, look at the peculiarities of the child. So I had to start being, careful, not overly careful, but very mindful and sensitive as well, to ensure that, so even when I maybe spank him or something, or correct him or do something, I call him back again to say, why did daddy do this to you, or why did daddy, punish you for this, and make sure that, he gets it and he understands it, right? And one of the things I've noticed afterwards is that you say, or maybe he wants to, something around that thing, you will not say, Nathan, you just has a way of saying that Nathan will not do this, and I've started to feel like, okay, I mean, that's a better way of, ensuring that. But yeah, I just think that it's very important that both parties, especially because of the climb where we are, where it almost feels like it's the mother's responsibility to raise up the child, and it's the father's responsibility to go and look for the money. And that thing can be very, very counterproductive because you're not then present, which is one of the things I love. Bring your own. Yeah, you're not present in the child's life. Right, and I'm grateful because for us it's evolved. At a point, it used to be the one at home. Now I'm the one that is more at home, and which is one of the things I love the most because I get to spend more time with him, get to do stuff for him, take him out, pick him up, and all of that. Now, even at school, right, do more of that because I'm more at home, and so it's. But I see how that has also helped him as well. Like you said, that oneness in voice, he knows that you can't say
to daddy, come to me, mommy,
if at all, because because of the way they're wired, he still tries to play smart sometimes. I say, oh man, so go and meet your daddy. Come
and meet daddy.
But it's very, very key, very, very important, and I think that one lesson that we love to end with, on this, because parenting it doesn't happen by, chance.
And also
it's
spiritual as well,
yes.
like in terms of raising them according to what you've seen
about them,
right? Yeah, I remember there's a scripture that, God showed me when I was pregnant for him, that was like, it's just like exactly how he is, right? And just like raising both of us, understanding that and doing what is required to like be so intentional. In raising him in the way it ought to be raised, based on the prototype or template we have seen about him, right? And I think that, so far so good. We've been, intentional,
God, it's still a journey.
A long journey,
And because it's a changing generation that you're dealing with. It feels like they came with a different OS entirely. Very smart, very
the questions they ask.
So, parenting is intentional, and that's why it's important that anyone you're getting married to knows that as well.
The importance of it.
And not just getting married because you like each other. You must have gone through the different phases to say, this one. And I think it's part of the things that you must look at for. Right, getting married, will this person be a good father, or a good mother to me? So it's not all vibes and vibes. We like each other.
Inshallah.
It's work, and I think
baby. This thing you just said. Remember our first year, that the lesson we took out was it takes two to tango. Yeah,
truly. It's work. If you don't put the work in, it wouldn't work.
You won't get.
No relationship, no marriage works just by
vibes,
going to the altar and putting rings, and it's intention. I think that's one thing that has to be stressed a lot. You have to put in the work. Things are not going to just
what's required,
and don't just go with the flow, right? As well.
Be willing to change your mindset.
Oh yes, don't be too fixated on who this is who I am. I don't think any marriage has ever worked with this is who I am. Eventually, he just things don't work out if one is too rigid, because it's understanding. And I like a quote that I heard a long time ago that says that understanding cuts out about 60 to 70% of issues in relationships, because most of the time you look at it, it's just people not, both parties not seeing things from from their own perspectives, right? And I think that's really, 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 really key. So
marriage is sweet. That's one thing that we've, over time, it's getting sweeter for us.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Sweeter and sweeter.
Yeah.
One thing I would love to say maybe before we go is that we hear it a lot about forgiveness, which is really key. If you've seen people who have been married for 50, 55 years, 60 years, one of the things they probably tell you is that they've learned to forgive. And I think that's one thing, we had to also do intentionally amidst of all the frictions, or maybe being hurt about something, because there's a way you can carry that hurt and it keeps on translating. You think you've gotten over it, but it's just there, and then it keeps defining the relationship up until the point where you just feel like
damaging things.
And so first realize that you guys are both on you're a
tag team.
Right, and you're not tackle issues, not the person. Right.
And then learn to forgive.
And to forgive is really, really critical.
And just have a great marriage.
Yeah. Gotcha. I hope you enjoyed this.
Because I did enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I think that any marriage can work if the two parties are actually willing to work it. No matter what may have happened, no matter the issues, if both parties actually are willing to make it work to, resolve anything that may have happened, I think the marriage can work. Because to be honest, the devil doesn't want marriages to work, all right? Because he knows what would happen if two people actually are united at heart. One will chase 1,000, two shall put 10,000 to flight. It doesn't make sense. Like, it's so exponential. Like, how can one person do 1,000 and another, two people do, 10,000, right? That's what can happen if two people actually put their hearts together on one thing. Just like the Tower of Babel, they came together to build, the Tower of Babel, and God said that because they purpose in their heart, they can do it. Let's, scatter them, right? So I think that if two people decide that they want to make this work, put everything required, I think every marriage can work, because marriage is actually really good, and is the start of great things, even for yourselves, even for society, even for God, So I think that any marriage can work if two people come together. And I'm hoping that, if you are out there and there's a problem, there's an issue, you are willing, by the grace of God, to resolve it, because there's so much more that can come out of it. And I'm praying that for everyone who is maybe broken, really hurt or pained, that God actually really does heal your heart. A total healing for that, for your heart and for the marriage. So yeah, that'll be my 2 cents. Thank you.
So I think one of the first things I want to say is that marriage is really, really good. No matter what anybody says about it, no matter the stories that are out there, people always have different versions, all right, based on their circumstances or their experiences. But always remember that marriage was created to be a good thing, right? And when God was done, God said He created everything good, including marriage, right? And so, but like any other thing, like a building or anything you want to embark on, foundations are really, really important. And like Scripture says that if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? And so getting it right at the very beginning is, of utmost importance. And one of the things I would like to say, amongst many other things in terms of foundation, is to marry somebody who is very teachable. It makes all the difference. Not somebody who is rigid, not somebody who thinks he or she is the Lord of hosts or the El Elyon. Somebody who is malleable, who is teachable, because you need that. Because without teachability, you might not have understanding at all, and you need that in a marriage. And so it shouldn't be, when picking a partner as well, it shouldn't just be about, it shouldn't just be about love, I love this person, that tingly feeling in your heart. There's more to it. And sometimes because that's all people see to it, it then becomes the only foundation, the very basis, and you're not checking anything and maybe about the character of the person, whether the person is teachable, how the person thinks, the person's opinions on certain things. All of those things are what forms that strong foundation. Of course, with the leading of God, whoever God tells you or what God is saying to you, right? But all in all, marriage is good. With the right foundation, you can have a strong marriage, not because you wouldn't have one or two, challenges here and there. Challenges are meant to, make us better, all right? And so you can use challenges to your own advantage and not to make, whatever has been built to crumble. Second thing I would say is forgiveness is key. I can't even stress that a lot, because I've noticed that sometimes when people get hurt, it takes them a while to come out of that thing. And sometimes they just cover it and just, cover it like, I've gotten over it, but then it's still there and it still keeps defining, that journey, that marriage, that relationship, right? But take it from me that marriage is good, marriage is sweet, marriage is lovely. God designed it for a greater purpose, right? And that I hope you put this into context as well as you choose that person, as you continue in your marriage, that it's not just for fun, it's not just to travel the world, it's not just to, that quote, growing up when we say, and they lived happily ever after, yes, God wants the pleasure in it, but I think one of the things that cements marriage is purpose, right? When both parties know that we're in this, it forms everything, how you raise a child, how you do every other thing in life. And so with the right foundations, I'm extremely sure that, one would have a good, marriage. Don't let your marriage live in isolation as well. Mm-hmm. Don't let it live in isolation. Sometimes, like to cage it, my marriage is, there's a popular phrase that can be taken to the extreme. It's you and I against the world. don't let it just be both of you against the world. The world is also part of the constituency that you live in. Make sure that you have valuable relationships, people who can speak to you at every single point in time. And I want to say that for those who are trying to get married as well, that it's very important to, ensure that the person you're getting married to is someone teachable and somebody that is accountable, right? Not a man or a woman of themselves, right? But somebody who you can say, oh, so if anything goes wrong, you can, go on to this person and say, oh, this is what's happening, right? So, I mean, there's so many things, right? But I'll leave it as have the right foundation and, keep working on the building as well. All right, if there's a crack somewhere, be quick to align, correct, and move on with it. And it'll be an awesome, awesome, awesome time living in purpose, living in marriage. You can have it. Don't let anybody tell you that, a good marriage isn't out there, because there are good marriages, and fill your life and your thoughts with those good experiences, not the bad ones. It helps a lot. Have an amazing marriage.